Hello.
Hi,
Welcome to the
everybody.
webinar.
Hope you guys are having fun. Happy holidays. Oh, I see from Dallas. So happy holidays from New Mexico.
Happy holidays from, I was going to say my IP address, but I probably shouldn't do that. So,
Phone home.
Yeah, we're excited to be here with you. This is going to be a more casual webinar, kind of laid back, but we've also got some good content prepared. So we're excited that you joined us, and hopefully it can be a nice kind of wind down as we head into the holidays a little bit. I told Destiny she should have done her hair up like that, done a little Who style hair, but then I might have had to like paint my face green or something for the Grinch. So I'm glad,
Yeah, and then I was like, missed opportunity. If I would have known he would have done the green face, I would have done it regardless.
Oh man, happy holidays, everyone! Thanks for chiming in. We're gonna jump into it. So again, we appreciate you for being here. We're broadcasting this on all the Domotz social channels. So we're on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube right now. So if you want to access the recording, it'll be automatically in all those places afterwards. But I think we've got this set up to also email you the recording at the conclusion of the webinar. So should be whatever medium you prefer, it'll be available. If you've been on a webinar this year, you've probably seen Destiny and I, but I'll do like a light introduction. I'm the director of product marketing at Domotz, which is a fancy way of saying I work with the product team to kind of explain the product to the market. And I've been in the IT space for about 10 years, 5 of which have been working at a managed service provider and 5 on the dark side of working for vendors. And I'm joined by I don't know what's a good way to put it, like better in every way possible, Destiny Bertucci, our like network monitoring genius internally, who I'm really just here to facilitate her. I mean, she's the star of the show, but we're always happy to have Destiny as well.
Hi, everybody. I've been in this area for over 23 years. Love this area. I'm just a huge geek. I just like having fun and just diving into stuff and monitoring. I've been doing specifically for over 22 years. So it's something fun. And I was I was actually network engineer for the first 3 years before I jumped to the vendor side, if that makes sense, of monitoring.
Yeah, speaking of the holidays, we were at an event earlier this year, Destiny and I, and we had a Domotz customer. I don't know if they're here or not, but come up to us at the event and was asking about buffer bloat. And so I brought Destiny in, and it was like Christmas morning. Like anyone that can ask Destiny about network monitoring is like Christmas morning for her. So
I know. I get excited. I'm like, oh, let's just break out the laptop, and we literally did. It was like in a little social area, and I was like, "Do you got your laptop?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Let's dive into that. Let's have some fun." So, and that's some of the stuff that I love to do. So,
yeah, it'll be good. I mean, we're going to dive into your questions as well in this webinar. So if you have them, fire them away. And we also had some good ones come in during the registration process as well. So like I said, we're keeping this more conversational. We wanted to avoid just like speaking at you in a traditional webinar, instead have more back and forth a little bit. So we've only prepared probably 10 slides-ish. But we do have some good content. Having said all that, we did prepare some good content. We've got a few holiday themed segments we're going to present to you today. The first is going to be like a naughty and nice list of monitoring best practices and worst practices. And then Destiny's going to walk us through a segment that she had is a great idea, which is like the bottom of the stocking, or like think about the gifts that are hidden behind the tree, or maybe the ones you don't think about as maybe the most exciting, but can be really impactful. So we're going to talk about kind of those features that maybe aren't top of your list, but maybe they should move up a little bit on your list in terms of benefit and how you can use them. Then we're going to do like a letters to Destiny segment where we had a bunch of questions come in. Destiny will answer them. I mean, I'll help out where I can, but and then any questions you have as well. And then we have some gifts to give away. We're going to do Domotz Boxes. We have some swag. Destiny's going to give away an hour of her time to, take a look at your monitoring and provide some advice and some other stuff as well. So if that's good with you, I mean, I think we can jump in.
yeah, let's have some fun.
We'll do it. All right, I'm gonna kick this off. So we had this thought process of like, what are we talk to people all the day. every day that are using monitoring for different use cases. And and throughout the course of the year, we've done that, and we've heard a lot of interesting use cases that are, we'll share and that we can be excited about. But there's also some kind of red flags that come up in some of these conversations. So we've compiled that into like a naughty and nice list. Also, hi, Ben from Idaho. You're my next door neighbor. I'm like 20 minutes from the Idaho border in Spokane. So
I thought it was literally your next door neighbor.
yeah.
I was like, cool.
No. So we're gonna jump into the naughty list first. So I'm just gonna kind of buzz through some of these kind of like quick fire. All right, first one on my list is monitoring everything because you can. Now, this is a common trap, and I totally understand it can be exciting and you want to dive in. Especially once you kind of open the floodgates and see everything in your environment that you could monitor, it's tempting to just be like, I want to monitor it all. But just because you can monitor all doesn't mean that you should monitor it all. And I almost think, I was thinking about this, Destiny, like it's almost like tools like Domotz make it this more of a trap because it exposes all of the data. And then you have like features on top of that, like custom scripting, where you can ingest additional data that it's almost like it's very easy to do too much. And there's a few stats I saw as I was kind of thinking through this too, which is according to Gartner, 80% of IT alerts provide little to no operational value, and teams spend more time triaging noise than fixing real problems. And 75% of IT teams experience alert fatigue at least once a month. So although it's tempting, and I understand, monitor with intent and think about what metrics and behaviors are going to directly correlate to uptime and performance.
Yeah, and I think something that just to kind of clarify too, like when monitoring, we're meaning like to alert on it and to do things. Like you should definitely have visibility, and especially you should have the discovery on there because of like SOC, as like Steven was talking about, into doing some things. But I think what happens is when people are monitoring things, such as you're being alerted, you're doing Delta events, you're doing things. If it's not actionable and you don't understand why that alert's coming through there, it's going to definitely be on the naughty list, because the worst case scenario that I've seen is when people get an alert and they don't even know why they got the alert. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, it's like something that's not for them. It's something that's there. It's the distraction, it's noise, and it's things that go across there.
That's pretty much my next point on the list, which is if you have alert logic that doesn't factor in business impact. So, and I say this with a little bit of an asterisk, but for every alert you configure, there should probably be a corresponding action associated with that alert. Now, there's probably some outliers to that, I understand, but alerts are a means to an end, not the end. So firing an alert for a threshold breach that doesn't necessitate an action maybe is not worth it. Or, conversely, if a threshold's breached and it's identifying a critical issue, likely worth it.
Yeah, what I like to do is literally set up, like, if you have an alerts and if you have like, a observability tool or something that you're like feeding into, or if you're trying to do algorithms against it or to try to figure out things, make sure that they go to those things, right? Like for info and warnings and things, so that you can actually do like a deep cause analysis and like look back on it. But if you have an alert that is going to your actual text and doing things and there's no action plan beside that, that's where you start getting some hiccups, or they start going down the wrong, tracks, and it can actually distract from what an issue could be, or actually an issue that is not an issue whatsoever, and you've distracted them from maybe something they were doing.
Yeah. And the natural follow-up question to this is like, well, what is the business impact I care about? And that's not something we can really answer for you, but there are a few questions I thought of on how you could get to that point. So where is the issue? What does it affect, and who does it impact? I think are some questions that maybe get the ball rolling to identify what are the business impact we want to talk about
Yeah.
and correlate our alerts to. All right, here's a good one, and this comes up a lot. I mean, we talk to a lot of folks in the industry that don't monitor, and it's kind of this like ignorance is bliss. What I don't know won't hurt me. I mean, we kind of all know this, but like if no one's complaining, that doesn't mean that everything's fine. And most outages and performance issues are invisible until they've escalated to a certain point. Here's a stat for you. 60% of incidents are first detected by users. So if a user's the one initiating the hey, there's something going on here, they're waving their flag of we got to investigate here. Immediately, it causes some friction. Like we know users can get frustrated, and that can spill over to your IT team, who now has to like emotionally deal with that as well. It also puts the IT team on defense because they're like, hey, this user is the one that's telling me how to do my job, unfortunately. So, as a best practice, having that visibility is really important, and taking action prior to it, really escalating to a point where, I mean, obviously escalations happen, but the earlier you can get involved, the better.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, my next one is maybe a little controversial, but only deploying to a subset of sites. So we talk to IT teams who are monitoring only the biggest sites or the newest locations or the ones that maybe quote unquote matter most, but they leave a lot of other sites unmonitored. So Verizon's does this survey every year. It's the DBIR survey. It's kind of a popular one in the industry, but it shows that these edge locations and like remote smaller sites are among the most common sources of outages. Now, before you all tell me why, I could probably unmute every attending this webinar and be like, 1, 2, 3, tell me why you're not deploying to every site. And I don't know what percentages, but I'd imagine it's a high percentage that would say cost. Like obviously there's cost associated with that, both like a monetary cost, but also a resource cost. And I'm going to respond to this, unfortunately, I'm going to put my sales hat on just for like, bear with me. It's going to be like 20 seconds and then I'm going to take it off. But our current pricing model allows you to deploy Domotz to unlimited sites for free. So if you have a smaller site or one that you don't want to actively monitor or you don't want to pay to actively monitor at this point, you can still deploy Domotz there for free to do the discovery and the device identification and show the real-time status of all the devices. And then if there comes a point where you could benefit from a management feature like remote access or power management, or you want to monitor in more detail, it's like a one-click adding the devices that you want to do the monitoring on. Versus if you later realize you need some sort of feature or monitoring done on that device, you then have to start at ground zero and deploying Domotz or another monitoring solution. So I understand the reasons why, but I would just kind of say, I understand the resource reasons, but from a cost perspective, technically you can deploy Domotz for zero cost to sites with the device pricing.
And I think that's something that's smart to know because one of the things, especially as an MSP and even as an IT, technician as well, if you don't know what you don't know, as you had said before, but it's also one of those things of like get an estimate. Like you're able to use Domotz to go out there and apply and discover everything. You'll see it in the topology, you'll see the all devices, you'll see everything in which it comes across there, the identification. And then what helps you is to understand that environment. So if you're enlisting a new customer, or if you're looking at, just kind of making sure that everything is up where it's supposed to be, right? Or like, and are aware of all the devices and people aren't like man in the middle bringing their own devices and attaching and doing, you're able to have that insight so that you can make better decisions. And if you're an MSP, you understand their environment. What type of devices do they have? Are you able to cover those? What value can you give to them by monitoring those? Are you able to convey that information to the user so that, when they onboard, you're ready for them and you understand them a little bit easier. That's going to come across there. It facilitates better conversations from the get-go. You'll always have the discovery, like Jace was saying. You'll always have the identification. You'll be able to see the connections. I see where Eli was talking about discover loops in real time and doing some stuff. And it's like, you'll see this, if you want to monitor them, you can see sudden traffic spikes, but also that topology instability on the layer 2 is going to show you the router loops that's going to come across there. And then you can highlight interface. There's so much fun. There's so many things of which that you can do within there just by having that visibility that doesn't, it's not costing you anything to have it.
Yeah, great feedback. We had a few questions come in. Steven asked if you can mix the old per site cost as well as the new per device model. On the same account, you can, but you could spin up another Domotz account that you deploy for those sites, or we could have a conversation about it as well, on what it could look like to move to the new plan. So there are options there. And then Alex said it's much better pricing than another competitor who I won't mention. I just finished watching Harry Potter and I was like, oh, it's the he who cannot be named. I was just thinking about Voldemort the whole time. Anyway, that's just a side note, ramble. All right. This is my last one on the naughty list. Then let's like maybe bring it up a little bit. Don't need to spend the first 15 minutes of our holiday webinar talking about naughty practices. All right, relying on solution defaults to identify failures. At Domotz, we don't have many defaults, but this is common in the industry that, you know, if you are onboarding another tool, there's like these default settings. They're designed to work generally, but maybe not optimally for your environment. So relying on those out of the box, like alerts or thresholds or whatever, can help you get to a good place, but they aren't the good place necessarily. And there was a study done by EMA Research that said organizations that customize their monitoring and alerting reduce their mean time to resolve by up to 30%. So not insignificant. Solution defaults can be helpful, but they can also be distracting and equally unhelpful. So make sure you spend the time. It's not just deploying a solution, it's deploying a whole strategy.
For sure. That
All right.
80-90 gets people a lot.
Yeah. All right, let's shift gears. All right, so what are some of the good things we're hearing about? It's early. If you're a Domotz customer, you probably saw that we recently released a feature called device profiles. And what device profiles is, although this is like specific to Domotz, this feature, the concept and in practice is relevant to everyone. So basically what Domotz device profiles is, and I think there's a question that came up later in Letters to Destiny, we'll talk about it in a little bit more detail, is like, how do you best utilize it? Well, device profiles allows you to basically create a template for monitoring and apply it in bulk to devices. So one of the biggest inconsistencies in monitoring isn't the tools that you're using, but it's the way the devices are configured and the discrepancies between how you've set up the monitoring for that device. So it would depend heavily on who did the setup, when they did the setup, and what they thought mattered at the time. So profiles allows you to kind of create that template and apply it to devices in bulk. So you're standardizing the template. So if your tech is on site triaging something, they know kind of, this is what's available to me. This is how this device is configured. And it just makes their life a lot easier. So although this is early to Domotz, like we launched this in October or November, it can be a huge benefit to you as well. All right. Not Domotz specific, but this is a good one too. We're hearing a lot more of too, which is democratizing your network monitoring among your techs. So it's not uncommon to have a specialist or a few specialists that are concentrated or the experts on network monitoring, and then in adjacent to that, like the tool specifically that you're using to network monitor. And I understand that there's certain features and access that you might want to restrict to higher level techs, but I think there's a benefit, and we're seeing customers who do this and reap these benefits of providing additional access to lower level techs who can benefit from the context of the monitoring solution and the management features to resolve issues faster. We already know all the stats about like the shortage of skilled personnel, and that's amplified by the fact that burnout is highest among the more senior level engineers. But if your expertise is like centralized on those specialists, it can create bottlenecks and dilute the value of your monitoring. So conversely, opening the doors a little bit more in a responsible, secure way can really benefit your monitoring as well.
For sure, and I think it's something that you should also lean into with those specialists, right? Like when you're setting this up, especially with RBAC now, like, you know, creating the views, what are the devices that they need? If you have hundreds of devices and doing things, you know, it's a way to pinpoint and hone in on what they actually need to do, control, if they need to control it, if they can, you know, actually use the tool and then set up the alerts so that makes sense for them. And then that way it's not like this cascading effect of which that comes across. You control what you're wanting to do.
This next one is kind of the inverse of a naughty list item, which I already talked a lot about, so I won't spend a ton of time, but a good practice is implementing an issue level strategy versus a device level strategy. And if you, I don't know, this is true in a lot of IT spaces, but it's easy for us to kind of default into this device mindset. Most solutions price per device, issues are often identified at the device level, alerts are often triggered at the device level. So it's easy to kind of fall into this mindset and put your blinders up of like devices. But it might be a better approach to take a step back and try to see, okay, what are the issues actually? And try to see kind of through all the device noise of what actually is happening and how can I build a strategy around those issues and the business impact of those issues.
Definitely. And I think the strategy here and like, not a device level to your point, a strategy is huge with monitoring. I know we have strategies for how are we doing the network and the different, stages, right? Like, what are we using? What are the protocols? How are we setting this up? What are our tools? What are our devices? Things that are there. Same thing with your monitoring. It kind of gets pushed to the side. People set it and forget it. I seen where somebody was like, it's not a one size fits all. I completely agree. It's the health. It's your literal like foundation base layer of what is normal. And what I have seen like from a security aspect is, a lot of people will try to go back and monitor or go back and do things after a breach or after something that is known that has happened. And you can't actually stand on the ground and say this is normal. Right. And so it's one of those things of anomaly detection. And you got to build that in your strategy. You have to have strategy in your monitoring to make it useful, or it's just easy to skip around and get other tools. And I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that there's so many people that are like, oh, I have this in place and oh, it burned me, right? And then you go on there and they left it at 80, 90. They weren't in their alerts. A lot of them were going to junk mail. A lot of them were going to a folder of, no man's land. And a lot of things were missed when they actually did a root cause analysis, or if they were using tools like Splunk that was doing like business dashboards that was coming across there. And it's one of those things where it's like, you gotta look into it and you gotta have a strategy. You need to understand and work with those around you as well to make sure that you're hitting what they need from the tool, not what you think they need from the tool. And that's a quarterly, if not at bare minimum, a bi-yearly conversation to have with your teams to make sure you're doing the right things, you have the right tools in place that are helping you. Yes, exactly. Death by alerts. And man, it's something that I've been in this, like I said, for over 22 years in monitoring, and still to this day, alerts are something that, right? Like it is something that either just gets passive, it gets thrown away. They don't understand them when they get them, and that's a tragedy, right? Because you should be best in breeding this, especially if you're using tools that are gathering this for logging and security. You need to make sure that it has the pertinent information and what it is actually alerting on so it sees the full picture.
Yeah, I won't go into too much detail, but I will say we'll be talking about alerts quite a bit in the new year.
Yeah.
It's a big focus of ours internally to improve alerting for our customers. So if that's something you're passionate about, definitely keep your ear out, because we'll be in touch about some other content and webinars that we'll be doing about that. I mean, we could do a million webinars about it probably, but all right. The next one is probably my favorite one across all of the naughty and nice list, which is proactive monitoring is one thing, but proactive reporting is like next level. So monitoring in and of itself, the act of monitoring is proactive. You're just monitoring performance levels rather than waiting until the issue's reported and then acting. But it's a whole nother level to report on what you're observing when monitoring. Let me give you an example. So let's say you're monitoring a UPS device and an alert fires off noting that the battery supply is below a threshold that signifies something's wrong. If that's not corrected, the device will fail, and so will everything that's connected to it. So you jump in and correct the issue. Great. It makes me think of the kind of analogy, like if a tree falls in a forest and no one was there to see it, did it really fall? If an issue was identified and corrected before it impacted users, did the issue really exist? And the answer is yes, obviously the issue exists and you fixed it, but it's your job to vocalize that. Like you need to, it's almost like this weird situation where if it were to impact users and you were to quickly fix it, sometimes you get more credit because people see that it was fixed versus seeing and fixing it beforehand and people not knowing that it was ever a problem, even though it could have been a really big one. So it's a different motion, it's a different thought process, and it takes additional effort, but you should proactively report issues that you've identified and corrected before they've reached an escalation point. This is an extra step, but it's one that immediately demonstrates value to your key stakeholders and your customers, and obviously also proves an ROI on the monitoring as well. So in some instances, and Destiny could probably speak to this in more detail than I could, but in some instances, we've heard of customers taking this to an extreme where if they have an alert triggered proactively to identify something before it's really an issue, sometimes they're sending those alerts to their stakeholders or to their customers if they're like a service-based business, to let them know, hey, here's something we're observing right now and we're fixing it before it's even impacting you.
And that's something you can do with your alerts. So especially if you're using something like ConnectWise and some of the other integrations of which there's plethoras, right? But if you're using some of those, you can actually massage those alerts. And when you set different thresholds for those alerts, you can actually set them out to your users, your customers and things and be like, hey, we know of a potential issue that could be arising in this area. And if you're using the topology, you know what's underneath it. It's kind of like the parent child, and then you can be like, we're on it. We're already doing that. That just kind of stops the phone call from coming in when they start to notice something. And then even if you get it done, it allows them to proactively know that you're on top of things and that they didn't have an issue. Your SLAs are there, everything of which that, is you're doing your job. Because as we know, and I talk to I have a lot of friends that are in the MSP world that literally, when you're a quiet MSP because you're doing your job, they start wondering, why do they have an MSP? And I don't understand that. Like, I'm like, that's exactly what you want. But when you're proactive and you're doing that, or even if you're using reporting tools for a quarterly roll up to be like, hey, we were able to see these potential issues and do things and we stopped these before. Or, hey, did you know on this potential issue, we were able to solve it in X amount of minutes, or however long that it takes, which that comes across there. It shows value quickly, and it also gives them confidence in you that you are monitoring and managing the situations and that you're ahead of the game.
Excellent. All right, last one, and then we'll go to the next segment. So this is a little bit more specific to service. So if you're a managed service provider or if you're an AV business, this is probably more applicable to you. Although it could apply to IT teams, internal IT teams as well. But when do you deploy monitoring, or when do you deploy discovery is maybe a better way to say it. But we would recommend that you deploy it prior to onboarding a new client or a new environment. If you are negotiating a contract to support a business, the last thing you want is you close the deal and then you start receiving support tickets for devices that you didn't know exist, or worse, maybe you aren't even charging for. And you can have the processes in place to, maybe you're sending someone on site to manually discover what's in this site and identify the devices. That can be a painful process. It could also eat up a lot of time and resources. It also introduces human error. So, that's something to consider as well. I kind of referenced this already, but you could deploy Domotz to that site at no cost and do the initial discovery and identification, and then take that information to the customer and say, or the prospect or the site, and say, okay, here's everything we see on your environment. Then you can have more transparent and honest conversations about what we should and shouldn't support.
Absolutely. And you get and that's not like a one-time thing. Like it's always discovered, and all of the discovered devices are constantly, they're free, and they come and go as you do them, and you can make those choices. But that's another security awareness, right? Like, it allows you to understand and know what is there.
Yeah, Alex says, is that where the Domotz box comes in handy? And that's a great use case for the box. You just go on site, plug it in, deploy
You
the
can do that, yeah.
collection,
Mhm.
and then you get that discovery and visibility. Matt, the answer is probably yes.
I was rolling.
Oh man. All right. Enough of that. I'm gonna hand it over to Destiny. Well, she's gonna kind of explain some of these features and things, but while she does that, I'm gonna pull a list of who's on the recording now, because when we do giveaways, I'd rather give it away to people who are here than registered and didn't show up. So Destiny, I'll hand it over to you and
All right.
record.
So let's have some fun now that Jace is out of the way. So, at the bottom of the stocking, what I wanted to do is just kind of highlight some things that I've been asked over probably the last 6 months, actually, because we have had a lot of changes. We're doing a lot of things, and that people just weren't aware of that Nomos actually offers. And so, configuration monitoring, I think this is huge. If you've ever followed me, I'm a huge, I like documentation. I like understanding. I like being able to use things in change requests. I like understanding that if there is this change that caused an issue, because I'm monitoring and I can see it, I can see like if the interfaces are having spikes, I can see if there's a router loops, things like that that are coming across there. I can monitor interfaces. I can actually check if a firmware was going across there and did it actually solve the problem that it was supposed to, or did it not? That's all from the configuration monitoring. And then if something goes awry, or if I need to revert, or if I need to do something, I'm able to do that within Domotz itself. It's also so customizable, and I think people don't understand that like, even if it's not out of the box, you're able to create these and get these going for yourself. We're going to be looking at other ways to be able to share some of those. And we always try to put these out when we make releases all the time so that we're able to do that. But configuration drift is a thing, like, and that's like he was talking about earlier, proactive, reporting and doing things. If I've noticed that techs have made changes, but it's different, right? If my running is different than my startup, which I've been talking about this for like forever, but it still happens, right? Because you're in the moment, you're solving a problem, you're getting things done. And then it's like, maybe it's not saved. Maybe you were just testing it and then you forgot the next week to do it. And there's more fires to put out, or there's other things, or you're moving on to another. You're able to track that history. You're able to go back. You're able to revert. You're able to make the decisions of what you need to do. In your change request, use it, show that it was implemented, show that it wasn't implemented and why. And those are some of the things that I like to do and use around configuration monitoring, and as well as management as well. Some of the things too, the VLAN visibility. This is huge for Domotz. I'm very proud of this one because it's literally the layer 2. And I was talking to the PM Chris and I was laughing because I was like, oh my gosh, the call is coming from inside the house, right? And it's like, okay, why is it coming from in the house? Because it literally, we're able to see the VLANs. When you do the setup, we are inside the VLAN environment, monitoring it, watching it, being able to identify it, being able to see everything, the MAC addresses, everything that's coming across there. A lot of people like to use the Domotz box for this as well, to like do VLAN discoveries and to do that. And again, you get all of that, right? Like you don't have to monitor them all. But it's one of those things that gives you that visibility and you have the understanding. So if somebody's like, hey, this VLAN, 902, or this VLAN that's a guest, or this VLAN that's, for the healthcare, department, anything in which it's coming across there, you set those up into their own VLANs, like, right? Like you're able to actually correlate those networks correctly so that you can see those. And then you have the bigger, broader, advantage of seeing it in the topology. So I think the VLANs itself is something that's a strong point. And I think it's something that, I mean, pretty much everyone is running VLANs that's coming across there, and they just don't have the great insight. And so, also when we talk about like custom SNMP monitors and sensors, this is not something that's like earth shattering or doing, but use them. Like, I worked with the postal service before, and they were just like, hey, like we have to know our ACE counts, not our ACLs, our ACE counts. Well, we were able to grab that through an SNMP sensor, right? Like these are some of the things that you have to think out of the box. If you're looking at things and they're like, hey, this OID is what's actually going to be able to show me like, a brownout or a blackout or things like this, so which that are happening. So then I can correlate this with my temperature, or not my temperature, but with my UPS and battery life. And I'm trying to set some of these up. You can look at these, like you can go to your vendors. You can always find OIDs. You can expand monitoring to crazy. Don't even get me wrong. I've been there. But mainly it's one of the things of what is pertinent to you. Don't just rely on what you've been seeing, because like, network monitoring and management has been around forever. It's not like something that's some great discovery. However, people still don't engage in it and look into it and get some things of which that, that is pertinent to them. So it is easy to jump ship, and it is easy to try to go to things and try to do things. And it's because we weren't invested in our monitoring. So it goes back to that strategy situation. Talk with your techs. If I'm in firewalls, like what are they needing? Like what is the actual need that they have, that they need from firewalls that's going to help them be more proactive and better at their job? You can customize this and set this up for them, and they can have their own view. They can have their own sensors. They can have their own alerts based upon like these. This is how we get into monitoring to be something that actually has fruition for you and shows you value. And it's something that I think is very important. The VPN on demand. So everybody asks me, right, like the RMM versus network monitoring, like where's Domotz? And I'm like, we're in between, right? Like we have these great capabilities. I mean, you're able to have secure, you're able to have it temporary remote access. You can allow it, you cannot allow it. You can choose if you want people to do that. And you're not opening up risky tunnels to be able to do that information. And then you can actually like, reboot some of those of which that you need to do, change some of the ports that's there, do all of these things that come in there. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you can choose to use these, you can choose not to use these. You can use RBAC to prevent them from being there, but it's ways that you don't have to ship a truck out, right? Like you don't have to roll and go and do some stuff. You're able to get in there. A lot of people use it if they're trying to do endpoint management and do some of the things which that comes across. and it's not all the time in use. They may use it if it's on a maintenance track or to do something, and they usually get an agreement, right? Like these are just things like, hey, we have this control, we have this ability, and those are some of the things that are forgotten about within Domotz itself. Dashboards, they're really cool. Rory was showing us on one of our last ones, right, where he's like, oh, you see the little arrow? Click that because it opens up more. And we had so many people that were like, wait a minute, I just thought that was the report. Well, yeah, like we have an arrow that's going down, and we are putting some check marks in there too to be able to let you know that some of those are more user friendly and available within there too, so that you can actually get in there and get more in depth insights from there. And we're able to do the bulk actions, right? Like we're able to actually take a hold, use the inventory pages, be able to do some actual admin work of your monitoring system when you're trying to get into it and get things done. So these are some of the things that are there. And then of course, PoE power control. Those are fun because like we get that all the time. Especially AV folks. Like one of the things that I've seen really cool is I've been working with some colleges and some universities and things. And I mean, they just love having that. Like, they are able to make sure without walking across campus, like everything's up, everything's down, but sometimes it takes a power cycle. So they use the PoE switches and the smart plugs, and they're able to reboot those and get that stuff done without going across there, wasting time. They can validate that, if things are up in the rooms, they can validate, they understand that there's an uptime there. It just helps to make some quick decisions that you have the ability to do without being on site or without having to go over there. So there's things that you can try beforehand, and then if it is the basic level and your tier 1 tech ability is able to stay within Domotz, then you already know that you've exhausted some of that and you can escalate it to tier 2, and then you know that it's the correct tier 2. Right? Like that's the thing that happens, is that you're able to know, like, okay, like this is a warranted decision of which that we need to escalate and go through there because we've done what we can do at this moment. And then it just helps you to have that documentation as well. Like, this is what we did. Did it affect anything? Did it not? You're able to look at your monitoring tool and be able to say, oh yeah, now it's not spiking. Or yeah, that's what actually resolved. It's back up. I can see things of which it's coming across there. So there's a lot of things within Domotz that I think that, kind of get hidden. It's like a lot of tools you have to like pay to get a lot of that extra information to get those management capabilities that it's included. Like you're able to get that all within there. And I think that there is a lot to be said with the customization and the integrations that come across there that really help you to kind of pinpoint and get that in. Um, Use AI. I know I did that on one of our webinars earlier this year. I mean, I like taking reports, I like taking things, and I like having it do like a deep cause analysis on those and like give me some analytics that come back there that I can actually improve my monitoring to. Like there's definitely ways that you're able to do this information. So, and use this information to your best of your ability, in my opinion.
Awesome. Great perspective. And before we transition to our next segment, which is asking Destiny questions, Destiny, would you like to answer some questions that have already been asked?
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, there was one. Ryan was like asking, "Hey, would you ever do an advanced, like deep dive course on, how you can benefit from Domotz?" I think that's a great idea. I will also I'll plug this at the end of the webinar, but we're doing it, I don't know, every month, every other month-ish. We have these kind of office hours where it's really no agenda. We just invite customers onto the call and you can talk about whatever you want. So take advantage of that too. We have one scheduled for January, so I'll share the link. I'd recommend attending that as well. Also, we had James ask, which I think Rory already answered, about can you disable the VPN on demand feature? We have role-based access control, which is one of the questions that came in that I'm going to have Destiny address as well, but you can lock that down on a user-by-user basis for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's answer Dan's question. Do you see Dan's question there about the topology?
Let's see here. In the topology feature previously, if a lower level switch would go offline, it would remove that switch. Oh yeah, so we've already, that was part of one of the releases. You should be able to see that. And we no longer do that. And you can actually go back in history. So you're at the top right, you'll be able to see that. Where we don't have to actually have the history that goes across there, or sorry, where we don't drop it off completely. So that should be going there. So it definitely freezes it into the way that you were talking about, which is pretty cool. Like a lot of people like that, and that way, because before you would also like it'd completely go offline, like you were saying, and now it doesn't do that.
Okay, sorry for the audio issues. Can you hear me now better?
Yes.
And I think,
I turned off your echo canceling on the side, on my side, and it fixed you.
yeah, but now it's everyone's saying there's echo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Let us know if it's still bad. Okay, still okay. We'll do our best
Better?
here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We're getting there. We're getting there.
All right. So let's go to our next segment, which is letters to Destiny. I decided not to dox you here and put your exact location and just put the webinar as the location, but if Jace
He was
talked
like,
me
I'm going to
for
put your GPS coordinates on here. I was like, thanks a lot.
it. This is a good comment. Oh man. All right, that's true. Okay, let's dive in. So we had some questions come in when you were registering. The first one is, how does RBAC, which if you don't know, role-based access control, it's a new feature to Domotz. We had some team management functionality before, but we've made it a lot more robust in this recent release in November. So how does role-based access control help you monitor better? And then there was another related question that came in about customer-facing access for their customers. So Destiny, if you would speak to that, would be great.
Yeah, so on the RBAC, you think of granular RBAC. So we are able to do visibility only. There's no management, there's no anything that can go there. You can actually lock it down onto the views of which they can see when they log in. So I think that that's something that's definitely awesome. You can also create your dynamic filters. I was playing with this yesterday, but you can create your own filters and to do some things. So like if you have like people that only need to be on hot, like they're only on firewall issues, or if they're only on, if they have load balancers, or if there's things that which they need to see, then you can actually do that to where they can have management functionality in only on those devices, and then they can have monitoring on different devices of which that comes in there. For your users, and or if you're trying to do like for your clients, you can give them a read-only view so that they're able to see that. I know that was like one of our top requested, Jace, wasn't it? Like it was one of the top requested thing where they're like, I just want my customers and or my boss to have a read-only view and they can see everything that they need to do, and you're able to do that now with RBAC. So that's some of the things. Well, not now, it was in November, but it's one of those things that I think helps reduce a lot of the risk too, because some of the people were doing team collaborations to try to get people in there and to do some things, but they weren't able to control the management side of that. And so that was just kind of like a black box, right? To where they were like, no, we're not comfortable with that. We need to get this resolved. So definitely check out some RBAC, and it helps you to monitor better because you can focus people to where their work lies, so that they don't have to like adjust it or go through there and figure out things on their own. They go straight into what's happening. I like to put links to dashboards and do things in my alerts. So if you're using one of the integrations that's coming across there, and say it is a firewall and I have a dashboard that's built for firewall and I have like the management functionalities of which that I needed them to do, I put them directly into the alerts. So when they get it, they just log straight into the where they're able to actually do something about it or to make an appropriate decision on what needs to be done.
All right, next one. Let's do like a quick fire type of like 30 seconds to 1 minute responses. We can burn through some of these pretty quickly and then get to the giveaways. So Destiny, you talked about VLANs quite a bit. There was a question that came in. What are the best practices where a site needs quite a few VLANs on layer 2 scans?
So best practices, I would definitely use the networks to separate the VLANs up by the pertinent VLANs of which that they have. You're able to use those from like your Hyper-V and things so that you can actually separate that. It monitors it from within, which I think is great. You have to confirm that obviously that it has the 4188 bridge MIB, so that you're able to actually get that information that's going to come across there. You need to make sure that the collector can reach the VLANs. Like I said, use Hyper-V if you're on there. Domotz Boxes, you're able to gather some more information from the VLANs. And also if you're using things of which that are in the cloud that can come across there. But I think, SNMP on your switches, being able to do that, checking the bridge MIBs, opening that up. But remember, you're monitoring from inside the VLAN. It's not like I'm just by proxy. It's literally it's in playing in the VLAN with the actual interface itself that you assign to it.
All right, we had another one come up with
talking about setting up monitoring. So there was two maybe related questions, maybe not, but I'll just give them to you both and you can do with it as you wish. One was, what's the best way to set up monitoring without going into each endpoint, i.e. like RAM, disk space usage, along with setting alerts? And then there was another question about best practices for profiles. So I don't know if those two relate, but it maybe does. So just get your perspective on that.
Yeah, so you can to be able to monitor and to do your setup, you want standardization in a strategy, as we said before. So you're able to use device profiles to be able to lay that out. You're able to then be able to standardize it, right? To be like, I want these type of alerts because on these devices, I want these type of alerts on this device, or I want this SNMP credential to be over here, things like that, so that you can actually streamline that and make it faster. If I'm setting up monitoring, some of the things that I like to do is I start layer 2 and then work my way up to layer 3. And that's only because backwards, layer 3 down to layer 2. So what, and the reason why I do that is because obviously your layer 3 is the one that's going to be associating the layer 2s that's coming across there. But I want to get a good handle on those, monitor them, understand how that they're doing. And then I bring in my VLANs secondary. A lot of people like to bring them in all at once. That's totally fine. But what I'm trying to do is set up infrastructure versus virtualization. If I start getting into SD-WAN, especially, I like to monitor all of the edge routers to get the configuration back up so I can monitor and make sure that it's doing what I set it to do as an orchestrator. So these are some of the things that I like to do. I like to start at the big ones, understand them, get the infrastructure, get the actual physicalness of it that's in there, and then I start going into virtualization. There's no right or wrong there. That is just how I generally have found me to unwind some yarn balls, if that makes sense. I try to make sure the infrastructure is there in place, I understand it, and then I start bringing in the virtualization that comes across.
Awesome. There was a few, I don't know if questions is right, but kind of some comments that came in during registration as well about AI and how do you use it and how can it benefit you in network monitoring. It's like all this thing we're like hurrying up and waiting for because we can see there's probably a benefit there. We're kind of still trying to figure out what exactly it is in practice. Side note, but we should think about doing a session on that. I think it could be a good thought-provoking session. And Destiny, I don't know if you have any kind of initial thoughts to that. You want to speak to kind of how that might, like monitoring in general, might change with AI and how you can start thinking about it if you're a practitioner.
I already use AI with monitoring. You're going to see AI being brought into monitoring solutions. We're looking into that. We're already testing and doing a lot of things on our side because we're wanting to take advantage. Why not? Right? Make sure that it makes the most sense. And what I'm seeing it shift to in monitoring and management tools is it's able to provide that quick analysis against what all the visibility, because that's what it needs. If it's having missing parts, it won't work as well. It still works. And then all of the monitoring of which that you have, it'll give you suggestions on thresholds to set up. It can give you suggestions on more intense monitoring in areas if it notices something that you may not be noticing, such as I have a high CPU, but a low memory count, and maybe like, temperatures rising, and it might be like, ooh, this is something because of this version that we've seen before. Monitor these OIDs so that you can actually focus in on that and make sure that it's healthy and doing things that it should. So you're seeing a lot of that type of it. If you go into the observability, it's more about dashboards and it's more about like honing in that best of breed to understand the health of the network so that you can improve it. And then you're also seeing it to where it'll actually give you protocols and different configurations to try based on the configurations of which that it's looking at. So I'm seeing a lot of advantages in the AI world.
I think one other use case we're thinking about internally here is it can be quite the process to get up and started with monitoring. A lot of configuration, like what sensors are available, what do I care about. We've talked a lot about that today. So I mean, something we're thinking about is how can we make that easier? Like if we can discover your devices and we know what devices exist on your network, we probably have a good idea about what you should be thinking about in terms of business impact, what's available to you, and how can we make that more accessible to you without requiring you to go in and do a lot of configuration. So it is kind of this hurry up and wait situation. I think it would be fun to do a webinar where we can dive into like, what can we do today? And then what should we be thinking about for the future? So,
and I'd like to address with Larry there too. Like, I totally get it. Like, no AI, please. But when we're talking about this is things of which that you can take part of, but you do not have to. Our back is also going to be a part of that so that you can like allow that. And I think that there is a bridge gap So there's a beginner that's to monitoring situations, and I think there's a definitely advanced users. The advanced users probably won't even partake into that. They might lean into it a little bit later. But where I see this helping people is when they're first trying to come on and understand monitoring and how to better help themselves. And it's going to be a different kind of a user type of which it dives into that and uses that not necessarily to dumb things down for them, but to help them to kind of bridge that gap of knowledge of understanding monitoring versus networking itself.
Awesome. Okay, we've got some giveaways now. We've got 10 minutes left. We've got some good giveaways. We're going to start by giving away 3 Domotz boxes. And the way we're going to do 2 things. One is we have 3 trivia questions for the 3 boxes. We thought we'd do trivia for the boxes because we don't know if everyone wants a box. So if you want a box, participate in this trivia. If not, don't. If you don't know what a Domotz box is, it's our own proprietary hardware that we use. You can plug it in to your network, and you can deploy Domotz via that hardware. So side note as well, then we have a new Domotz box coming out pretty soon. More to come on that in the very near future, I will say. So we're going to do that. And then we have 1 hour of one-on-one consulting with Destiny. So she'll jump on a call with you, talk about whatever you want to talk about, and how it can benefit you. And then a pizza party gift card. I mean, we've said pizza party. I mean, you could also just do whatever you want with it for the gift card. It's a gift card. So, and then we're going to give away a bunch of swag packs, which is going to be our t-shirts. And then I put this at the bottom, which is such a cop out of people who don't win anything, but like, just know we're also working on the product on the back end to make sure it's always improving as well. So that's the gift for everyone, isn't it? And so for the 3 boxes, we're going to do trivia questions. I'm going to let Destiny lead us in the trivia, since she's the one that wrote the questions. And then for the rest of the giveaways, we're going to spin a wheel. And I've exported everyone's first name and first initial, and we're going to spin a wheel and we'll give it away that way. So Destiny, if you want to jump into the trivia, we'll just do first response, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, first response. And these are we were just having fun with the Santa stuff. So like just put in here in the first responses, you're able to get it.
I went back because I will say it's multiple choice. So I haven't
Yes.
shown the multiple choice. Destiny will read the question, then we'll do multiple choice.
All right. If Santa wanted to broadcast a message to every house on the internet, I already knew that you guys were going to do this when he had it up. And you're right. All right. So it's definitely the 255. It's going to be B. Yeah, that's coming across there. As soon as I started saying it, I looked over there. They're already filling out. This is what I was hoping on. I was like, this is my like they're going to be like, this is basic. Like we got this.
So it looks like is it Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Was first?
But now you're going to start a whole other argument side.
I know. I'm now realizing in real time, maybe this was a mistake. So Michael, if you wouldn't, I'll reach out to you after the webinar. Let me make a note so I don't forget. And then we'll go to the next question. Go ahead, Destiny. I'll switch it.
All right. So Santa plugs in a new PoE powered smart chimney sensor and the switch port shuts down immediately. What likely caused it? Like everybody is right on. And you're right? Because it's port security violations. So that's exactly what would have caused that and can go across there. Wrong wattage.
No. They were saying B for the last one.
I know. Hey, I would like to say that you're the one that put these in the order.
All right. So who won this one? Where I lost it. Was it Scott? Or did he just put B before the question came up? We got to do some honor system here. I think Scott. So let me go back and check.
Been more pre-answering B. I found the pattern. I love it. I love it. You guys are fun. Yeah, that's true, Steven. Everybody's a winner today.
Scott Wilson, I got you. I'll reach out and we'll be in touch. I'll ship you one. All right, last one for the box.
What protocol does Santa use for gift delivery acknowledgments? Do.
Oh, it's silent. Oh, we got some.
I know.
We're not sure. We're not sure.
Alec. Look at you go.
Who did we get this time? I'm trying to decipher. Oh, was it Larry?
Go.
I think it was Larry.
Larry, yay.
I feel like Larry, we already gave you a box in a previous webinar.
Did we though?
I don't know. He can keep me honest. I always see his name on these things. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, especially when we get into protocols. It's fun.
Yippee, you did. See, I remember.
All right, let's have some fun with spin the wheel.
Okay. Someone else can get it. Okay, so now he's being generous. So let me go back up and see. If you're happy with your existing box, then we'll give it to Nicholas.
Yay.
Nicholas. It's fitting, right? Nicholas should get one.
I know, right? It works well. All right, now let's have some fun with some spins.
Okay, spinning the wheel. I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. I just got to get this. It'll take me 2 seconds, but let me get this set up. So, I have this. I should preface this by saying, like, if the odds, it's slim. We have 100 people here, but if we get someone that's already got a box, we'll choose someone else. All right, take a look at this. Hold on.
So what is this one for? What prize is this? A box?
This will be for an hour of your time.
Oh, all right. So just to clarify, so the hour with me is like literally, I will come on, I will look at your setup of whatever you have that you're using for monitoring, and I will help you to try to find some fundamental ways to change it and probably dive in there and help you out and to get some of that done. But mainly, I just want to improve your monitoring and management solution, which that you have. So please take advantage of it. I've been doing this on the side and having a lot of fun. So let's go.
All right. I thought I put it in. I don't know why it says 265 entries, because I think there's about 100 people here.
I'm laughing because I see Rory Anderson.
Let's just spin it and see what happens.
Spin it.
All right. So this is for an hour of Destiny's time. Suspense. What if this just never stopped? It just kept spinning for forever. Here we go. Here we go. I only put people who are on the webinar's name in here. So Andrew, if you're here, chime in.
Whoop.
Andrew O. All right, I will give Andrew some time to chime in, and if he doesn't, we'll respin it. But we'll go to the next one. So the next one is a $100 Visa gift card, which will, is designed to be a pizza party, but 2 hours later.
I made the mistake of looking at the center of the wheel.
If you look at the center of the wheel.
That's awesome. Nice.
Nick, another Nick.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Pizza party.
I'm checking my Excel sheet. Okay, Nick is on. Nick is here. He should be here. So that'll be the gift card.
Money, money, money.
All right, now what? We have three Domotz swag packs. Oh, there he is. Awesome, Nick. We'll send that to you. I'll be in touch over email. All right, so this is for a Domotz swag pack. Basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just throw a bunch of t-shirts in a box for you, and you can share them around the office if you'd like, or have like 5 Domotz t-shirts for yourself in different sizes. Yeah, Frank, you're right. It's a real test. Who's watching? Alex.
Woohoo! I just think that you're excited because you really like your spin the wheel.
I know.
He was like, I found a spinning wheel, Destiny.
Who doesn't love a good spinning wheel? All right. We got 2 more of these. Alex, he's here. Awesome. We got 1 minute to spin it twice. I don't know why it's taking so long. I guess so suspenseful though.
It is.
Ed.
Woo, Ed. Yay.
Okay, last one, and then we'll wrap up. I'm nauseous. This was actually by design. Now everyone can call in sick the rest of the day. No, you're too sick. Oh, there's Ed. Awesome. Okie dokie. Last one.
It is so suspenseful. Corey.
All right. Are you here, Corey? I don't know if we ever heard from Andrew.
Have not. Do you want to respin it?
Let's respin. Corey, chime in if you're here. This is for so we'll respin again for Destiny's time.
I like Matt though. He's just going to rename himself.
Respin.
It's so suspenseful. Mark. Oh, Andrew S is here. That was funny.
Wrong, Andrew.
Wrong, Andrew. All right. All right. So is Mark here?
Corey's here. So we got everyone except
for mine. That's crazy.
Your time. Everyone's too intimidated by you.
Don't be. I'm fun, man.
Okay. Well, we see. Give them some time to chime in. I'll do a shameless plug. So in January, Destiny will be hosting an office hours, which is a shorter kind of webinar. It's very conversational. It is anything you want to talk about. So she'll probably have the product open, diving into a feature. But it's a good opportunity, and it's a smaller, more intimate group that you can kind of have more FaceTime with Destiny and talk about what matters most to you. So I posted the link in chat there, and please attend, register if you can. Let's remove some of those names.
Let's remove some of the names. I know. I'm like, man, the Will's being mean to me. I've already got like 2 emails since I've been on the webinar. So I mean, hey.
Frank's gonna be here for like 5 hours until he's the only one left that we're.
I know. He's like.
Okay, I'm gonna give 5 more seconds. We're gonna spend this one more time if Mark doesn't chime in here. All right, let's do it. Last spin. Playing the long game. There you go.
The suspense is what is cracking me up.
I just thought it was funny. People are like, I'm getting nauseous.
Frank, he's like, I'm playing the long game. Ron W. I'm gonna laugh if this one's not on here either.
Okay, if Ron doesn't chime in the next 60 seconds, let's think of another way to give this away, Destiny. Of people, we'll do it in something in chat.
Ron Weasley. Nice. I like it. I like it.
Can you think of another trivia question in case Ron doesn't pipe in?
Sure.
Let's do that.
Let's see. Let's do a fun one. Trying to think here.
Another spin. Another spin.
Is that really?
No, I think we need to do a question.
Let's see here. All right. I'm do a fun one.
Oh, Ron's here. Oh, all right. Well, just in time, Ron. Just in time. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that wraps it up. There's Ron. We're all waiting for you anxiously. All right. That wraps it up. Ron, everyone who won, we'll be in touch. I'll email you. We'll get it all sorted. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for being such good sports. We're excited for the new year. Happy holidays to everyone. Please keep your keep your ears out. We'll do a lot more of this in the next year. And looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. And again, like anybody can use my email address, connect to me on LinkedIn, do some stuff. I'm always happy to help or point you in the right direction or to do anything. So thank you all for everything. Happy holidays.
Bye, everyone.